So you are thinking about homeschooling, and the first question that you have is, where do I begin? You Google homeschooling or you do a Facebook search for homeschooling groups, and the amount of information is overwhelming. You can't even sort through it all. There are so many different opinions about how you should homeschool, information about homeschooling. It seems to vary state to state. There's different curricula. Some of it costs like a ton of money. Some of it is free. Is the free stuff good? You don't even know where to start. Well, I am here to help you weed through all of that information and narrow down what will work best for your kids and your family. So where do you begin? I'm gonna give you kind of 3 things to start with to help you narrow down where to begin. Number 1, you need to find the laws for your state. This is kind of the boring one. What are the laws for my state? But the states vary dramatically. Maybe you're not even in the US. Maybe you're in another country, and I have no idea what your homeschool laws are. It's legal in a lot of countries, but you're gonna need to explore what the laws are for where you live. Now, if you're in the US, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association has a great and easy to use resource for finding the laws in your state. I'm in the state of Georgia. In Georgia, we have to file a declaration of intent online, easy to do. We have to do 180 4.5-hour days if your child's physically able to do so. You have to keep a log of what you've covered. You have to do testing every 3 years. It's important to follow these laws. You want to make sure that you are doing what you need to do, checking all your boxes. It's just important to do. And honestly, a lot of these laws and rules are helpful, I find. I've found that the testing is beneficial for me as a homeschool parent. It provides me with great information. So don't just, shirk the laws. Let's do what you need to do there. Number 2, think about what your goals are for homeschooling as a family. Maybe you are homeschooling this year out of necessity. Your child's needs weren't being met last year. Maybe your school is moving to a type of education that you're uncomfortable with. Maybe your school is meeting in person and you're uncomfortable with that right now during the COVID pandemic. Maybe they are meeting virtually and you're uncomfortable with that. Maybe that wasn't a good experience for your kids. Your kids just need one-on-one attention. There's lots of reasons to homeschool, but you need to think about what those reasons are for your family and what your goal is in order to help find the curriculum that's gonna work for you. So this is what I encourage you to do. Take a sheet of paper and think about what your goals are for the end of this year or for the end of high school for your kids if you're thinking that long term. Are you planning on returning to a brick and mortar school environment, a public or private school next year? Then maybe you want to keep your kids in a homeschool curriculum that is as much like public school as possible. That's gonna determine the type of curriculum that you choose. Maybe you want to give your kids this magical, otherworldly homeschool experience where they're doing nature drawing and being creative and doing interest-led learning. That's going to be a different path than the person who's planning on returning to public school next year. Maybe your child has specific needs. Maybe they have learning disabilities, maybe they're neurodivergent, and you need something that's going to engage them that may not look like what most people are using. So think about what your needs are and also what your goals are. I'll tell you, for our family, when I think about what our goals are as a homeschool family, I think that I want my kids to be well-read. I want them to read lots of excellent books. I want them to have graduated high school with just a vast array of books that they've read. I want them to be excellent thinkers, logical, able to argue a good point, understanding logic and reason. And thirdly, I want them to be independent learners. I want them to be able to teach themselves, to seek out information that they want and not rely on a teacher to spoon feed them info. So that's, for our family, those are kind of the top 3 things that I filter our education choices through. Maybe you have a picture of a very peaceful learning environment. Maybe you think of something that's more rigorous. Write those things down. There's no one right way to do this. I'm not grading you on how your goals sheet look, but this is for you. Just think through some of those things and what you want your children to have acquired by the time they graduate high school or at the end of this school year. Okay, point number 3. Think about your individual children. How do they learn best? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do they enjoy? Maybe you have a child that is a super independent learner, just really a go-getter, type A maybe, just really can do self-teaching. They're gonna need a different curriculum from a child that is maybe very active, needs lots of tactile learning, very hands-on. That's gonna be a different approach. Maybe your child loves stories, loves art, loves music, and you really want to engage them in the subject matter through those things. Maybe your child has a strong interest in one thing and you want to use that one thing to engage them in other areas. There are so many options available. Thinking about your kids will help you to weed through curriculum that may or may not work for them. That type A kid may not do well with something that's very artistic. Maybe they will, but maybe they won't. That tactile kid may not do good with a curriculum that has lots of textbooks. So write that down and get a feel for what will work for each of your kids. So 3 things. Check the laws for where you live. Write a list of goals for your family and think about the learning styles of your individual children. If you do those 3 things, you're already well on the path of finding a curriculum that works for each of your kids. Thank you so much. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment any questions you have below.